Let's upcycle one necklace into 10 pairs of earrings and a pendant. I picked this necklace up at a vintage store in Florida when I was traveling. It is made completely out of brass, and I'm using a magnet to confirm that. And so as you can see, it's not sticking to the magnet. So this whole thing is made out of brass and beautiful pieces. It has stars in there, these celestial planet-like bodies, these rings of Saturn. So I'm going to take these all apart and we're going to try to make different pairs of earrings out of it. So to take them apart, there are jump rings that are attaching these pieces to the chain. So I'm going to use my pliers to open up these jump rings. So you just twist them open and you pull the pieces out. Now the jump rings, I believe these are not brass, but I'm going to keep those aside. So again, just going to hold the jump ring on either side of the opening and then twist them apart so that I can, if I want to, I can use these jump rings again. There. So these are some pretty shapes. I think this on its own would make a beautiful pair of earrings. The star and that. So I'm going to open these up and then be right back. Several minutes later. Okay, so I took this necklace apart and you have this chain, which I'm going to just keep to do something else with. And then we have 5 of these. So I can make a pendant and 2 pairs of earrings, or make them all into pendants. And then we have 2 pairs of the small disc and star. And we have 1 pair of these square dangles, 2 large globes, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of these medium-sized globes, and then 2, 4, 6 of these small globes. And I think these will make such cute dangles just like that. I will have to redo some of the wire work here, but I think that will work. Here's the deal. As I'm looking at these close up, there are some imperfections on the brass stars, so I'm going to take them off, hammer them down a bit, and file these burrs off. And then I'm not very fond of these jump rings and the way they overlap, so I'm going to replace these with either copper or brass jump rings that I make that will be more uniform in size. And then the loops around the beads, I'm going to do the lollipop loops or the eye pins, the centered eye pins, to make sure they look more finished and even. And if you want to see how to make your own lollipop loops, there is a video on my YouTube channel that you can watch that. But I will show you how I do that here as well. Okay, so I've moved all of these off to the side and I'm going to start with this pair first. What I'm going to do is take my steel bench block right here and I'm going to take these brass stars off here and then hammer them flat on this one and then file off the burrs. So to take these off the jump rings, again, I'm just going to open up the jump rings and get these stars off. So see how this has that burr right here? I'm going to have to cut that off. Okay. And then I'm also going to take these beads off from the top and that jump ring as well. This is why I use my nails for everything, and that is why my nail polish never stays on, right? Um, Technically, I should be using another pair of pliers or something to open the jump rings, but my fingers are my best tools, so there we go. So, and I'm thinking too, it might just be pretty, instead of having the star dangle like that at the bottom of the earring, maybe having the star in the center and then using one of these dangling at the bottom might actually make a pretty pair of earrings too. So we'll play with that a little bit. Or maybe the slightly bigger one. We'll see. That's how I figure out my designs as I go, is just play around with the pieces that I have. So I'm going to hammer this flat, and I'm just going to use a flat side of my ball peen hammer. Now I could use the ball peen side and texture the brass, but I don't think we need to. There's already a lot going on with the painted brass up here. Okay. And then I'm going to use my needle file and then file the shape straight a little bit. Okay, so I made the second half of the pair and I forgot to hit record. I thought I did, but apparently I missed it. So here's the pair of earrings. They're very light and I think they look beautiful. And I'm just going to get some copper wires up on top there. So here are the ear wires. I'm going to twist open the ear wire and slip it on to the earring. I'm going to do that on both. One thing nice about these discs is they're painted on both sides, so it's always going to look pretty. I think that looks really, really neat. So I'm going to put it onto one of my earring cards. There you go. It's a lovely pair of galaxy earrings. Okay. And then I'm just going to sort out these loops and make them uniform. So what I'm going to do with that is open up the loop, flatten the wire, and then take my veil making pliers or 6-step pliers and make a rounded loop. So see, that looks much neater rounded like that. And with this one, I'm just going to use the smaller piece and get that off. Okay, there we go. So there. Okay, that's one star. And I'm going to check this one. Do the same with this right here. straighten that wire out, pull it off to one side, and then roll the pliers. Okay. Then do the same with this. Slip that on and close it off. Okay, so there we have a pair of the Galaxy earrings. Doesn't that look pretty? That's a pretty pair. Okay. The second pair of earrings, I'm just going to take the brass stars off these warped jump rings. Right here. And then I'm going to just hammer everything flat. And I'm looking to see if there are any burrs. These are not too bad. The stars don't have too much of a burr on them. So then we're just going to line them up and attach them with the jump rings. So again, we're going to open these up, twist to open, and then put these on. And then close that out. Now I could use brass jump rings, I just don't have them handy, and I can make some right now, but I quite like the mixed metal look, and the copper will dull with time as well, and so I think that'll look pretty. Just gonna make sure that's closed nice and tight. I don't want anything slipping off. And then I'm going to find a glittery blue bead that we can add on top. I think that'll just add a little pizzazz to these earrings, and then put the ear wires on as well. I just pulled out some crystals from my stash, and I'm trying to figure out which ones will look nice with this. This has a little bit of the teal color in there. It has this little darker color, but maybe this darker one will look pretty. And then I also have these bicone-ish crystals, which might look nice. I think this size will actually show up better, so yeah. Let's go with this one. And we could actually go crazy and make a pair with this one too. Let me open this up and take out two of those. I'm just going to close this up again. I like to keep some of these on strings, so most of the time I put them into Ziploc bags like that. Okay, so I have the beads ready. Set these aside, get this out of the way so it's not all reflecting up there. And then to attach this, I'm going to get some 24 gauge, maybe I will go with 20 gauge copper wire. Okay, and I'm going to cut off the edge to make sure with my flush cutters to make sure the edge is flat. I'm going to thread the beads on, and then make my loop. And then to make that centered, I'm going to pull that back there. Centered loop, slide the bead on, and then so this is up for the earring side, and I'm going to make this loop a little bigger to make sure it fits on the disc, and then snip that off. Okay. So we're going to do the same here. A small loop, center that, slide the bead up there, and then make a slightly larger loop. And snip that off again. There we go. And then to attach it, I'm going to open the loop, slip that into the hole, and close the loop. Do the same with this one. Close the loop right there. So now we're going to attach the ear wires. I make my own ear wires, and I have a video, or will have a video up soon about that. And to make sure that these align straight, I'm going to twist this because we need this to be facing forward, and then slip it onto the ear wire. Oh, that looks so cute. Okay, do that with this one too. Center that. And then we are going to slip it onto the ear wire. I'm just going to check all my loops to make sure everything is nice and tight. And there we have another pair of the Galaxy earrings. I'm going to put that onto another earring card. And so we just made 2 styles out of that necklace. Okay, for this third pair, since we're not going to be adding any copper to it, since I'm just going to put ear wires and maybe change out the drop or leave it as is, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to make my own ear wires quickly. This is 20 gauge brass wire. We're going to need to cut 1.5 inches, 2 pieces of that. So 2 pieces of 1.5 inches each. And then I'm going to use my smallest step in my loop making pliers, and then roll that up, and then on the second largest step, bend out the ear wire. So I do that again with this one. Smallest step, make the P loop. So I'm not centering it, just making the P loop, and then holding that in the jaws, and around the second last step, just bending that over right there. And then we're going to take our bent nose or needle nose pliers and just kind of give it a flick at the end there, so that way it's easy to slip on to the ear. And then you're going to take your file. I use this needle file, and then buff off the edge of this so that it doesn't catch or scratch in the skin. As always, taking this extra step here makes the piece a little more professional and nice to wear. Okay, so I'm going to check these loops again and finish this off. So we're going to open that. And then center the loop. There we go. I'm going to do that with this one as well. Okay. Just going to make sure the wires are touching and the loops are nice and closed. And then put these back. I'm actually wondering if this looks nice with this, or if I want to put in a different drop. I'm just going to look around in my stash and be right back. Okay, I'm going to use a couple of these 24 gauge knotted head pins. And these are the beads I found in the stash. I think that's a beautiful match. Better than this light blue with the teal. And I'm going to make a loop up here. And because this is 24 gauge and it's not going to just hold on as a simple loop, I'm going to make it a wrapped loop. And you can use your pliers to hold the wire and wrap it around. So it gives it a wrap loop like that. And then once you've done that, you wrapped it twice, you can just snip off the extra wire and press that close. Okay, so I'm going to do that again. Slip on the bead, ensure it's lined up on the knot, and then wrap the loop. And because these are just 1.5 inch wires that I made, I'm going to use the pliers, but if it's a longer wire, you can just hold it with your hand. Snap off the extra wire and then tuck the corner, the edge in so that it doesn't catch in anything. Okay, and then we are going to open up the jump ring here and slip this on and have that dangle. We do that here again. Open that up, slip on the bead, dangle, and then we are going to add the ear wires. Okay. So we have a third pair of earrings. I'm going to put that onto my earring cards as well. Yep, that is adorable. Okay, so I have make one more pair of these earrings, and we're going to add these drops to that. And then for these smaller ones, we are going to do the same crystal drops like we did with that small pair. And then this one, again, I'm going to take out all of these beads, but I'm wondering for this rectangular shape, if I want to have it dangle under that. I think that looks pretty, and then have a crystal drop at the bottom. And so I'm going to do that with this pair. Okay, so let's make a couple more of these. Taking those blue drops out, and I am repositioning, reshaping these loops to be more round and centered. Okay. There we go. Round and centered. And for this one, we're going to just take off the jump ring with the bead. Okay. And then I'm going to get a couple of head pins to attach these to this. And then we're going to have this dangle from under that. So we'll take off these as well. The paint looks a little old on this, so I'm going to just remove this wire and redo it and throw that off. I'll do this with this one as well. Okay. So to make the loops for this, I'm going to slip that on to 20 gauge, if I can get that straight through. Why is that having a tough time there? There we go. So slip that on. I'm going to do this with this one too. Sometimes these hollow beads are, when they're completely hollow metal beads like this, it's more difficult to get the wire through. There we go. And then we'll snip off this end to make sure it's flush. And I'm going to make my loops. Make a slightly larger loop on this side and center it. Slip that down and make another. I'm just going to stick with the larger side. Get my ear wire in there easily. And we're going to snip that off. Okay, let's do that again. Make the P loop and then center it to make the lollipop loop. And then slip that bead up and make a second loop. And snip that off. Okay. Then we are going to open this loop and slip this square piece on. It's going to dangle like that. And open this loop. Slip this square piece on. And then we are going to use some knotted head pins to attach these beads and make ourselves a quick pair of brass ear wires again. I'm going to just pause and make that offline and come back on. Okay, so I have the ear wires ready, and here are some of the head pins. So I'm going to finish off this pair of earrings right here. And we are going to have to attach this directly here. I don't want to put another jump ring there. So I'm going to take the second step of my 6-step loop making pliers, make a open loop like that, slip this on, and then hold this like that, and then take my other pair of pliers and wrap around 2 wraps, and then we're going to snip that off and tuck it in. Okay. So like that, and we're going to put another one and do the second one as well. So we're going to open that, open loop, slip this on, hold the loop, and either use the pliers, and here I'm just using my finger, but I'm going to pull it tight with the plier and cut off the second bit here. Snip that off and make sure it's tucked in. And then we're going to attach the ear wires. So we're going to pop that open again. And make sure you like the side that you want on the front. That's what I like on the front, so I'm going to put that on there. And this is now our 4th pair of earrings from this necklace. And I'm going to pop that onto a earring card. And there we have our 4th pair. So we are now left with all of these glass beads. And I was thinking, since I couldn't use them for this work because of the color mismatch, I was thinking I will make these into cluster earrings. So I'm going to pop that on. And then we're going to attach the ear wires. So we're going to take my 6-step loop making pliers, make a open loop, slip this on, hold the loop, and then cut off the second bit here. And then we're going to snip that off and wrap around 2 wraps. So we're going to pull it tight with the pliers and take my other pair of pliers and wrap around 2 wraps. And then we're going to snip this on. divide this up. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 for each earring. I'm wondering if I should add a little bling with some blue crystals. So I'm going to look at maybe adding that size, or I'm going to look through my stash of crystals here and see if I can find a slightly larger size that would work. And I want that bright blue color, so I'm just going to look to see if I can find the blue. That might work too. It's a darker blue in there. Okay. Then I have another box here. Look through this one. Nope, that's a little too gray. Nope. Yeah. So one of these sizes and colors. So let's see how this looks. This might be a better bet, I think, with the size. So I'm going to put these smaller crystals back. And then since I have 12 of those, I'm going to try to do 2, 4, 2 each, 4 each, 6. Maybe that should be enough. But if I need more, I have a few more here. Okay. So how we're going to do this is first, I'm going to have to get pins into this to make the loops. But I'm first going to resize or adjust these so that they all are uniform. They look a little neater. And kind of close those out so I can connect them with the jump rings. So as you can see, they're all open in different sizes, and I have to do it carefully because these are in the glass bead and I don't want to break them. So I'm going to just carefully loop these out, and it's okay if these are not perfect. Okay, so this is the little tedious part of this, but it'll be worth it once all of these are uniform. At this point, maybe because these are not really circular, maybe I should just use my needle nose pliers and can get into those small crevices there. This I'm going to actually cut off some of this wire. There we go. There we go. Oh boy, look at that one. There we go. So that one is done. We're going to do it for these as well. Good night, darling. Good night, Abu. So here I have 12 of the glass beads and then 6 each of the bicones. And now for the bicones, I'm going to use head pins to make those loops for them. Okay, here I have some head pins. I know it's not brass, but I think it will work. I'm going to slip each one on here, and then you're going to bend that over. Some suggest clipping it and then rolling it. I prefer to hold this, roll it, and then clip, because then I don't have to worry about it being too long or short. And so then here, if now I cut this off, all I have to do is close that out. There. So we're going to do that for all 12 of these drops. And see how I'm holding this wire as I cut so it doesn't go flying into my eyes or get cut on the floor and get into our feet. So you push that over, hold that wire, roll this around like a loop, and then I'm holding this wire in my hand as I snip that, and then I take my pliers and just close and straighten that loop. So that's 6 over there. And then you're going to get this stuff out of the way. Okay. Now, to attach these, I'm going to have to make some jump rings. Good morning. I am going to get back to making these earrings. I stopped last night because I wanted to have dinner with the family and I'd been at this all evening. So we left off at making these into the cluster earrings. And so I started to make these jump rings out of the twisted jump rings we took out of the necklace because I'm trying to see as how much of that necklace I can reuse. I like the idea of repurposing and not wasting all of this product. And so what I've been doing is opening up the coil and snipping off the edge to make sure it's flat because it wasn't on all of the jump rings. And then I'm using my 6-step pliers at this third step and rolling the wire around it. And I'll do a full video on how to make jump rings as well, but this is a quick tip. If you are looking for a jump ring and don't have one handy, this is quickly how you can make one. And so there, we have some jump rings. I'm going to go ahead and make as many jump rings as we need. So I'm assuming we would need about 5 or 6 per earring, but we'll see how that goes. So to get started here, we are going to start at the bottom and climb up. So I'm going to thinking maybe put this drop at the bottom and then have 2 of these on either side and close that out. So you twist the jump ring till it touches. It's closed. Then to open, I'm just going to open all these jump rings and keep them ready because I think that'll be easier. And again, please use both your pliers, or don't mind a little bit of nail damage there. You can do what I just did. Whoop. So I'm gonna hold that, put in our next jump ring, and then put 2 more of these on either side. And one of this, and then close that out. And take the next jump ring, put 1 more of the glass, 1 of the crystal, second glass. There, the cluster is slowly forming. Put 1 glass on this side, 1 crystal, a glass on that side, and close that up. So I'm talking softly, my family's still asleep, it's still dark out, I woke up early, and so I'm trying to be as quiet as possible. We close this one. And then this is the last jump ring. Okay, so there is the cluster. going to pop these onto the ear wires. So for this next pair of earrings, I have these larger beads left, 15 mm beads right here. And so for this beads, I was thinking what I'm going to do here is I have these teardrop frames that I make out of copper wire. And I had these pre-made. I make a few and keep for quick earrings. And so I'm going to have those beads kind of suspended in that, so they'll become spinner earrings, but it'll also accent the bead right there. So I think that'll look very pretty. I'm going to do that. For that, I'm going to use two lengths of 3 inches each of 24 gauge wire. And I'm going to start by making 5 wraps, and you can use your pliers for this, but it's easy enough to start with the hand, so I just do that. I'm going to do 3, and then when you get close to the end to tuck it in, that's when I'm going to use my pliers. Okay, so we're going to tuck that in right there. Okay, and so I have 3 wraps. This is the 4th. And I want to make sure my tucked in wire is on the inside of the frame, so I'm holding it there, and that's the 5th. And then I'm going to slip on the bead. There we go. And so that's on there. And I'm going to wrap 5 times on this end as well. So hold it. And then wrap 5 times. 1. And I use my pliers just to get the wraps close to each other. 2. 3. As you get more practice with working with wire, you'll be able to estimate the length of the wire better. But if you feel like you need to, you can always use a little extra wire and then use the smaller cutoffs and save those for other projects. Now this obviously is too small. This remnant is obviously too small to use for anything, so that's going to be discarded. We got pretty close to the length estimated. There we go. And then I'm going to tuck that in as per usual. Okay, so that's one half of the earring, and we're going to do that with this one too. I think maybe I like it better down below, so I think that looks prettier. I'm going to move that down, and I'm just kind of reshaping this to snugly hold the bead. And the wire I'm using was pre-antique, that's why it's a little darker than the frame. But I will polish that off before we finish the pair. There we have the two earrings. We're going to attach ear wires to them. So I have my pre-made ear wires here. Open that jump ring piece of it and then close that off. And I'm going to open this loop, twist it like you would a jump ring, slip that on. And there, that's the next pair of earrings. Polished off the wrapped wires, and that is the finished piece. Out of that one necklace, we've made two of these, so two pairs of these earrings. Three simple dangles. One of this with the square drops. Two of these smaller discs. So I did go back off camera and polish all of the brass stars. I wanted to get the tarnish off, and I think they look much more brilliant now. And then we made this with the blue drops, and we made this one. So with that one pair of earrings and some additional supplies from my stash, we made 2, 4, 5, 10 pairs of earrings. And lastly, I've made a pendant on a brass chain. And so that is 10 pairs of earrings and a pendant. Put that on the card. That's so pretty. So all I have left then are these two larger beads and the chain that the necklace was on. I could make chain earrings, but I'm going to keep this for another project. And then these two, because I think they're too large for jewelry personally, so I'm going to use it for either a decor piece or a sun catcher. I hope you enjoyed this project, and thank you for joining me. Happy jewelry making!